Hey guys, we do not have the option to make fresh level 90s, so here's a short basic introduction guide into the destruction spec for the Warlock. If you want more in-depth, detailed guide, it will be out later and can be found on my website. But let's start it off. Destruction is by far the best spec at lower item levels. The spec doesn't need insane gear to do damage, and it doesn't snapshot the same way Affliction does. The perfect starter spec for a newly geared character. So let me take you through some of the topics we will go through to get the basic down while playing Destruction. First of all, we will take a look at the introduction and then move on to talents and glyphs. Then we focus a bit on the rotation and take a look into how we set up our stats and reforges. Once we get that down, we should look at gems and profession, and to finish it off, we look fast at how the gear is set up for destruction. Destruction's main source of damage comes from embers. Embers are being built up when we cast normal rotation spells. A total of 4 embers are being obtainable, which can be used on consuming spells such as Chaos Bolt, which is our main damage output. Fire and Brimstone is our AoE spell, and Ember Tap is an instant heal that both consume embers as well. So to summarize Destruction in a few words, you do your rotation of spells to build embers, and we use those embers on Chaos Bolt or Shadow Burn for execute. The rotation spells contain Immolate, Conflagrate and Incinerate. They help us build up embers, and Conflagrate gives us a buff that helps us cast Incinerate faster. Immolate is our dot that regenerates embers on critical ticks. The cooldowns we can use to increase our DPS are Dark Soul on a 2-minute cooldown and the Doom Guard every 10 minutes. When we gather Ember, we can use Ember consuming spells. Damage wise, we use them to cast Chaos Bolt, which is famous for being the hard hitting spell. Fire and Brimstone is something we can activate to make our normal rotation into AoE and hit everything within range. Shadowburn consumes an Ember spell as well, but it's only usable sub 20% and regenerates you 2 Embers if the target dies within 6 seconds. Talents and glyphs aren't that important for destruction. These are some rough basic ones you would use on average. With low item level, make sure you pick Grimoire of Supremacy and Kil'jaeden's Cunning. These 2 talents are just the absolute best talent for most fights and clear of instances at this item level. Don't bother thinking about the other 2 level 90 talents for now. You can pick Grimoire of Sacrifice once you start reaching 560 item level or so. Or that you have a heavy shadow burning fight, where you shadow burn a lot of low health adds all the time. Glyph wise, nothing increases your DPS, so you can pick whatever you find suits you. The standard ones are Internal Resolve for 10% damage reduction passively, and it's good together with Soulstone Glyph if you want to combat rest people with full health. Glyph of Demon Training won't increase your pet's damage, so don't bother picking it. The destruction rotation is fairly simple. Your main goal is to use Dark Soul on cooldown and always have your Immolate up ticking. Chaos Bolt is used together with procs and cooldowns to spend our embers on high burst damage. Never cap on embers, and don't use your embers as soon as they become available either. You can shadow burn low health mobs under 20% and get 2 embers back if they die within the shadow burn effect. Conflagrate is used on cooldown to give backlash, which decreases Incinerate cast time. Incinerate is our filler spell that generates us embers, and we use when we got nothing better to do. Once you get more comfortable, you can see more detailed rotation tips and tricks on my website with the 5.4 destruction guide. Stats and reforges might seem like a huge deal, but it's oftentimes not, especially for destruction. Stats are very similar on lower item levels. You won't see any big difference reforging either way. Mastery, crit and haste all become strong if you reforge too much of one stat. Mastery is generally just good for multi-target and AoE fights. Crit is sort of good at low item levels because it helps our Ember regeneration, but haste is good with the pet. Try to balance your stats at lower item levels, but personally I would aim for more mastery. Intellect is the most important stat once you gear up. Get as much intellect on gems as possible in the start. You won't need to gem pure secondary stats before you hit high item level. Gem wise, it changes with the item level and your priority of stats and reforge. Therefore, at starter levels you want to gem full intellect in red socket. Yellow socket should be intellect and the secondary stat your item level fits. Blue is hit and the secondary stats that fit your item level. Meta gem is the burning primal diamond or sinister once you get the legendary meta gem. On the prismatic gem you can take 160 intellect until you reach high enough item level to go full mastery. Profession wise, I would recommend you to pick engineering and tailoring. Both provide you with great procs and unused effects, which eventually will pay off once you get more comfortable with the spec. Passive stats are horrible for the class in general, so aim towards those 2 if you want to be safe. Gear wise, I thought I'd link you the best in slot gear list, so you have something to aim for when you gear up. Items are mainly based around mastery and haste as secondary stats, as you get so much hit with high item level and from gems that we want to avoid it on the items itself. Crucial part of playing Destruction is getting your hands on the purified bindings of Immersus trinket. It's an absolute beast of a trinket even on raid finder level. You can try to check out my rough estimated trinket list of DPS to get an idea of what trinkets you should equip and pick from your drops. The enchant on each item is also listed, so you can see what to enchant on your newly gained items. If you want to have more in-depth info, feel free to visit my 5.4 Destruction written guide on my website. This was a teaser video for the Destruction spec with some basic facts and information, hopefully helping you a little way with your Warlock. Thanks for watching again. Feel free to visit my website for more info, content, and stay tuned soon for World of Draenor beta and exciting things to come. You can follow me on Twitter and Facebook to stay in touch with what I'm up to.